What is up, and welcome back to the podcast.
You just took that one over. I thought I was going to be like, hey, what's up, everybody?
It has been several weeks. Let's not even count because it's kind of embarrassing.
Weeks?
But we did.
You're like Canyon. He doesn't know the difference between weeks, years, months, and days yet.
It's been a long time.
It's been a couple months.
So much has happened, and we want to recap in like very quick recap real quick. We closed on land. I think we mentioned that on the last episode that we were looking at land.
Highlight of my
exciting year.
Not highlight of my life, obviously marrying you and having children.
You're so
highlight of this year.
This year was closing on land. I would say our dream land, 25 acres. Okay, really
pretty good land.
Thank you. 25 acres. We had a plan to renovate the mobile home that was on it and live in it.
The blue buddy.
The blue painted turd that Tan
Imagine if you tipped a porta john
sideways.
Porter potty, whatever people we just had this conversation the other day. If you tip that sideways,
put some windows on it
or unfull. That's basically what this trailer was.
Needless to say, we started renovating and it was just too much water damage, some mold. We didn't feel comfortable with it. Way more money than we anticipated, so we halted off. We sold it a couple weeks ago for $5,000.
Okay, hold on. We need to take a step back real quick on this. To say that Sam was excited about this project was the understatement of the century. Me and my buddies are like ripping out the nastiest carpet. I mean, literally, you could see the floor joists underneath the carpet because there were holes that big that had rotted through. Yeah. Every wall had water damage. There were holes in the ceiling. They had taken a tarp and just covered up a hole big enough
in the bathroom floor.
Yeah, fit a large human. Like, yeah, you step off that toilet and you're
gone.
Like, those people must not have been scrollers because they would have like been scrolling and then their legs are asleep and then all of a sudden they stand up and thump, they're through the bottom of it. There was a possum living underneath. So, anyways, me and my buddies are like, and Sam was renovating and gutting and everything also. So I don't want to say like we were doing the work and you weren't. We're like, this is disgusting. This is awful. And Sam's like, are you guys so excited about this? This is amazing. I was like, yeah, our excitement is equal.
No, we did have really big plans to renovate it to be beautiful and like livable and be able to stay in that while we built the home. But because of the damage to it and the workload, we're like, nah, we're nixing that. So we decided to haul it off. Well, at the same time,
we had two plans. I mean,
we had plan A and plan B, which usually is enough. Right?
Not for us. It is definitely not enough for us.
Our plan B was just to live in the RV while we built because we had it already. And, we'd been living in it and traveling and we can continue to travel. But that was a lease that actually ended kind of abruptly. We weren't just
when you
not
say
planning.
It ended abruptly, it makes it sound like we did something wrong and like
we didn't do anything wrong.
No, they didn't have it in the budget to continue this.
It was a partnership that ended, and so a lot of people in sharing the past couple of weeks, they were like, "How did you not plan for this? Like, how did you not know this was happening and your lease was up?" I'm like, I can't explain everything online.
This wasn't like a broken condom and a baby showed up. Like we had plans, okay?
Very good plans.
Yeah.
So both of them fell through, and I will say February was probably one of the hardest months that I've walked through mentally and emotionally in a long time. Not knowing where you're going to live or what your living situation is going to be for potentially a year or 2 years was very hard for me to process. And Dan was over here like, "Oh, babe, we'll figure it out. Oh, we'll find something. It's going to be okay." And I'm like, you don't understand. Like, we need to find a place now. And it was about 2 weeks ago. I had a mental breakdown at night and then again that next morning. And I was like, if I don't find a home or somewhere to live, I need help. Like, I'm not okay. I need to get counseling, therapy, something, because I just need to talk through this. It was very situational, like anxiety going through it. And it was momentary. The next morning, I think Dan realized and he was like, yeah, this is quite important. He went to an apartment, found the bougiest apartment we could find. We loved it. He signed the lease. We moved in that next day. And would you say that I'm a completely different person?
We're going to have to change this from the We Are Dan and Sam podcast to the We Are Dan and New Sam podcast.
Sam. Like, I feel like a new person.
You know how people change like the day before vacation?
Yeah.
Like, oh, your vacation Dan, because you're already like mentally there.
Checked out.
This is like vacation Sam.
Vacation Sam for good though. Like, I'm so happy. I'm so at peace. We did like feel like we signed the bougiest lease apartment ever, but we're both happy. The kids are happy.
Listen, my buddy Chris came over, and I'm not saying Chris is skeptical, but he's very like logical and analytical, and
thinks
so like when there's stuff, if there's an issue that he sees, he's like, hey, have you thought about this? Have you thought about this? He came over last night and he was like, dude, this place is sweet. Like, this is sweet.
No questions asked.
I might have to get an apartment. Like, I love this place. And I was like,
we really do. The kids wanted to share rooms, so they're in a room together. We both have an office and a place for podcasting, and Dan can get away for work and I can get away for work while the house is still accessible. And we loved RV life. We loved the time traveling and the adventure. But I will say, I think we all missed our space a little bit. Yeah. And being able to create content in an RV, there's not a lot of space. It's just a lot to manage. And so it made it very difficult. It made it hard. But we are back in a routine of life. We feel stable and grounded, and we have like structure and routine. And we're excited to jump back in and finally get back to podcasting again. I missed it.
It took us like 2 days of moving.
Yeah.
And like 4 days of building furniture.
For real.
Sam had furniture that she had been buying basically since we got married.
If you followed us online, you've seen that I've been stashing stuff.
She's like, oh yeah, I've got some stuff. Could you grab something from Chris and Jane's basement? And I was like, what's in their basement? Like, we moved out of there. We moved out of there a year ago. I went down and their storage room is a huge, like their storage room is bigger than most places we've lived. And it was full of stuff. And I was like, oh,
you're gonna be happy when we can walk into the apartment. It's fully furnished.
And it is beautiful. Like, it's very not basic. That's like
minimal.
It's like practical. Simple. Yeah. It's simple and usable.
We
and like
a ton of stuff.
It looks like a not a serial killer, like a hitman. Like in the movies when there's a hitman and he has like one fork, one knife, one spoon, like one plate, one bowl, one cup.
We have exactly what we need. And
except the silverware.
That's coming from Amazon in 2 days.
So our Amazon packages have been flying in crazy. I think we're basically done. Everything is pretty well furnished. We've got some things that will get hung up, but other than that, we're in and we're super happy. And this is not what this podcast is going to be about.
No, we just wanted to recap a little bit because so much has happened in our life in the past couple months. And if you've been following us, you've sensed a lot of change. We've heard from a lot of you, like, so much is changing. How do you handle it? And I get it. Like, we do like change and transition, but we feel like in this season, we're thankful to be grounded, and we're excited to see how that will change like our content and being more structured with it. And, you know, being in one place at one time and being able to create, because the kids are back in school now. And, you know, now we can officially start our second surrogacy journey because we have a home and, you know, we can like work on matching with a new couple. And so, we're excited to get back into this.
The whole country was going through a chain shortage. Do you remember this during the pandemic?
Yeah.
Like they were doing a chain shortage. Yeah. We were in like a change abundance. And now we're in a change shortage. Like nothing's changing. We're just chilling.
I'm like, I don't want to hit the road for anything. I mean, sign me up for Florida. I'll go there any day. But we love just like, going back to the apartment.
Scouts in training. He just had surgery this morning on his eyelid.
Did that go well?
I haven't heard from him yet. It was at 10 a.m. So everything should be done probably by now.
Yeah.
His eyelid, he had like an extra long eyelid that rolled into like the inside part.
And it was like irritating his eye. And so
he had fur making contact with his eye all the time. Poor buddy. So they were doing that today, but he's crushing it 6 weeks ahead of the rest of his class.
Which is insane. Oh my gosh.
One of 3 dogs, she said she can remember. Kristen and the whole crew down at Best Retrievers, first of all, are amazing.
So kind.
And they're sending us video updates all the time of Scout. Yeah. She said she was tearing up when it was her last day training.
She did the obedience with him. So now he's in field training, which is more like the duck dog and, you know, bumper training, retrieving and stuff.
But she said since 2006, she can remember 3 dogs that like really stood out and she just made a huge connection with. And she's like, Scout's one of them.
Oh my gosh.
So he's doing good, little bud.
We're going to go see him in a couple weeks down in Texas.
We'll get some content while we're down there. And that's actually what we're going to be talking about on the podcast today is content and working together and what that looks like.
Yeah. I mean, we've talked a little bit about it, like where we were and how we came to do what we're doing right now, and both being full-time in content creation and social media and podcasting now for several years. I love it. I love telling people about it and educating people, because I always looked at it years past, like, is this possible? Is this something to do? Can people really make a living with this?
Yeah.
And learning it, yeah, it's just exciting to like teach other people. And so I recently wrote a PDF that talks all about how to become a content creator, how to grow, how to start and like find your niche and what to talk about, what to share. That's on our website, $9.99 a purchase. Little plug there if you want to buy it. But just recently we've had some friends who have started a church, and just other friends who are, you know, they see us in our life and what we do, and they're like, first of all, do you like it? Do you really enjoy it? And second of all, are you actually making a living? And, you know, we're glad to say that we do love it. We are making, you know, a good amount, and we're very thankful for that. But there are like trials with it too. You know, you work together. And so Dan and I are with each other almost 24/7, that we're very thankful for that. But there are times where he needs his time, and, you know, he can step away and I need to step away, or because I'm taking more of the working role on, he has to do more of the, you know, dad life, picking up the kids, you know, doing the dishes,
playing 1,000,000 games of Candyland.
Oh my gosh. For real though. It's
balancing. Is cheating bad when you intentionally make it
No.
to where your kids each get to win?
No.
Because I stack those decks precisely. And I do it to where like Canyon's way ahead, and he's got like the chocolate truffle, and he makes it all the way up, and he's like, oh, Dad's the caboose now.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden he gets the ice cream cone, and it brings him down a level, and Ember wins, and then she gets a brownie, and then it's just like back and forth.
Yeah.
So
that's part of parenting.
Being dad, like stay at home working, but also just stay at home dad it's cool. I like it. It's funny because when your kids grow up in an environment like this where you're around all the time, they don't understand that that's not normal for other families. And so they're like, Dad, I want you to come play with me. Mom, I want you to come play with me. And we're like, we just got done playing a game with you.
We just got done.
I'm like, they just want that time with us and the attention. And I love that we can give them that, but they don't realize, like, back when they were both really young, I was gone working. You were gone working. Like, they were going to a daycare. It was like they just didn't get filled up with that early on, and they were too young to remember that, like, hey, not everybody gets to do this. And so we feel very blessed that we are able to, that we can go to karate, aka ninja class with Canyon to go see. Oh, that's a good update. Ember.
Oh my gosh.
Ember is the least coordinated human being I have ever met.
How many doorknobs she's run into as a child?
I'm like, hey sis, don't run into that doorknob. Right in the forehead, like, and she's crushing gymnastics. Like, watching her her first week in comparison to other students that have been there. And this isn't just like, oh, she's my daughter, so I'm saying it. Like, she is crushing it. And the teacher came up and she's like, hey, we want Ember to compete with like our team, and she has everything she needs, and she's amazing.
She would do it like, was it 2 hours or 4 hours a week?
Something I think it's 4 hours a week.
Something crazy. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's like, how exciting. We held off on extracurricular activities for as long as we could with the kids. One, because we, you know, we're traveling and we weren't stable somewhere, but also it adds a lot to your schedule. And so now every, you know, once a week we have a practice with Ember, and then once a week we have it with Canyon, and we wanted to be able to fully commit ourselves before signing our kids up for that. But they're both loving it, and she's doing really good. So I think we're gonna keep, you know, as long as she wants to be in it, as long as she wants to keep going, and as long as, you know, she continues to be good at it, we'll keep her in it. And same with Canyon. And that's been something too, just another confirmation that us settling in here in Missouri, finding a home and a place, is good. Which, side note, a lot of people are asking, what do you do with the land? Are you selling it? Are you still going to build? And we're not going to sell it. I mean, it's our land now, and Dan goes out there several times a week.
We've got metal in. We're replacing the roof. We've got concrete poured. We got concrete poured in the shop. We got a gravel lot poured like a driveway in there. We got a bunch of stuff moved out. I've been burning brush piles like twice a week, brush and debris from the trailer, from the decks, from everything. So, I mean, we're getting it cleaned up. We're going to continue to use it as a recreational property, and then we'll eventually build on it.
Recreational, it sounds like. Just like a little hobby farm, but it's not a farm because I have no animals. Just
not like we're growing recreational things on it. No, recreational property. I mean, we'll get out there. Exactly.
Yeah, we're still working on the property and taking care of it. But yeah, we have plans to build, but we do feel like now they're in the apartment, we don't feel rushed, which we felt so rushed, like time wise and just financially, to make something happen and get a construction loan, start building a house. And we're like, we can just breathe for a second. I don't think we've been able to breathe.
So we're like determined to pay this property off so fast. Interest rates. Okay. So one of my good buddies is a lender, and he did the lending on, or he was the realtor on everything for us. But we got that first bill in the mail. And
we knew the interest loan, or we knew their interest rate. We knew like the monthly amount, but it doesn't hit you until you see the breakdown of the loan of 1,800. 600 goes to principal, 1,200 goes to interest.
1,200 a month goes to interest. And so we're like, all right, new goal for 2023. We're going to just pay off the land.
Yeah.
And we're going to continue to live in this bougie AF apartment. Can I say that? I probably shouldn't.
You can.
The bath.
This is our apartment.
We're going to call it the bath. The bougie AF apartment. Baffa.
The Baffa.
So yeah, we're going to stay here. But I feel like for you, the biggest change that I've seen with you, with your mindset, with your mood, has come from just having structure and routine.
Yeah.
And like, we have a set routine that we do. Like, there's certain days it changes a little bit because I'll have a podcast recording, or a meeting. Like yesterday we had a lunch meeting and kind of hang out with some people. And the routine of like, hey, this is when we're getting up, we're going to the gym. After the gym, this is what we do. We pick the kids up at this time. We spend this much time with the kids. We work while they're napping. Like, getting that all figured out. We've always said, like, we need to sit down and do this. We need to do this. And then a week later, we'd be like, hey, we really do need to do that. And then the next week, we're like, why haven't we done this? We should do this. And then finally, we're doing it. And it just seems like everything flows better.
Yeah, definitely. And we'll have to do a second part, like a second episode to this, and really dive into like content creation itself. But along the lines, like what you were saying, is it's a balancing act. Like some days you're doing more with the kids because I have more meetings or work or, stuff that I need to take care of. But then other days you have 2 podcast episodes and, editing you need to do. So I'm getting to the kids and I'm running and picking them up. And so it's, thankfully that we can't do that together, and it's just a trade-off.
Yeah.
And so.
But we've kind of found that routine now.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, and
finally
things are still kind of changing with me and my other podcast.
Yeah.
I've brought a co-host on. He's taking a lot of the workload from it right now. Mm-hmm. And so that frees me up to do other things. I'm going to change my scheduling so that it's 1 day a week at this time. So it's like not one-off meetings all the time. Yeah. And so I think that will help even more with kind of the routine and structure that we've been planning.
Yeah. The thing with, social media and this job that we have of content creation, it's never ending. You can constantly continue to grow, continue to build, continue to, get partnerships and opportunities. It's a never ending like track, I guess. But why are you smiling?
Just keep going. There's a segment that we're going to start doing on the podcast
called
Dad Jokes with Dan. And I just remembered that, and I was like, I forgot we should have kicked it off with that.
We'll just end it. Then we'll make them stay to the end.
Well, I got mine. So one of these times when you're talking, I'm going to pick out just the right one.
But yeah, it's a balancing act of, do you keep growing and chasing and doing, or do you pause and be still? And I will be the first to say it's a constant learning lesson for me with, I'm a workaholic. I love hitting goals and achieving things and working hard and being diligent and using my time wisely. And, there's always more things to do. And so I have to kind of reel myself in a little bit. And I'm thankful that with Dan, like, you helped me be like, hey, so what's your goal with this? do you need to spend that much time with it? You know, should we pull back? Like, how many TikToks do we need to prep today? Or, you know, do that it's helpful to have you with me. I wouldn't say that it's a bad thing that like we work together. You know, there are times that we're at odds, or if I'm in a bad mood and then I'm like, it's our content day.
This is when we're at odds.
Prep content.
This is when we're at odds. When Sam is building 4 businesses at the same time, she's like, hey, what are you doing today? And I'm like, I'm kind of just chilling today. And she's like,
oh, meanwhile, I'm like staying up till 2 a.m. I stayed up till 2 a.m.
last night, guys' night, Thursday night. My buddy Chris comes out. We burn some stuff. I had to get a couple deep freezers so I could go pick up some meat. Sam goes hanging out with guys, and I just work. Everyone's like, what does Sam do for fun? I'm like, she builds freaking businesses like all the time. She's like Sam Entrepreneur. She just goes and goes. And so on the way back, she had texted me. She's like, can you get ice cream on the way home? And I was like, yeah, I can. And then we leave the property at like 12:15. And so I called her. I was like, hey, babe, you still up? And right before I got on the phone with her, I was like, I'll call her. She might be sleeping. No, she's actually probably starting a new business. And Chris started laughing. And then I called Sam and I told her that comment that I made. And she's like, actually, that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm like, how did I know? So I get home. Placing orders. I was researching. I don't want to talk about it too much because I do want to announce it probably the last week of March. Oh, yeah, because this is going to go out like. This will go out the 13th. Yeah. So in like 1 or 2 weeks, we'll announce it. Ooh. But something is in the works. And it's just one of those things. Again, we're looking at I was looking at our income, our streams of income, and very thankful we have several streams of income, some on multiple platforms. And then, you know, you have partnerships, ad sponsorships, like just different things. And one of the platforms is going to, I think, stop paying soon. And so in looking at, okay, how do I replace that income? My mind's always working that way. And this thing that I'm starting is a way that I feel like there's a need for it. It's something I'm excited about. And it's a way that can replace that income for us. And one of our good friends has like a passion for that. Yeah. And so she's helping out greatly. Yeah, she could help me. We could work on it together. And I think it would be a good thing all around. A blessing to her, blessing to us, blessing to other people. I love that you have like 10 one-employee businesses. 10. We have Tiff, our assistant, which she's amazing. I know. I just feel like eventually it's gonna be like, hey, we're doing a big like umbrella corporation. No, I did. Party. So I asked our accountant. I was like, hey, so I'm thinking about starting this. I said, do I need a separate like business? She's like, no, it's all under the same business. It's just like a different avenue of like income. I'm like, okay, thank you. Also, before I forget about this, we need to ask you guys. You're gonna have to send Sam messages and tell her what you think about this. She is considering naming this podcast something other than We Are Dan and Sam podcast. Because here's the deal. We've seen a lot of influencers lately start podcasts, and I love it. Like at first you didn't know where podcasts were going. You thought it was kind of like a dud, and then it like started to ramp up, and then it's like, do people really listen to it? Dan, when he was working construction or even in a warehouse working, he would listen to podcasts all day, every day. So it kind of led to him starting it. And then us starting our own, just to kind of give you more insight into our life and who we really are as people, because we never want it to be like, oh, that's Dan and Sam online, but like they're like, you know, untouchable and, you know, not real people. It's like, we're normal human beings. We're normal people. We fail, we, you know, argue, we also have fun, we laugh. Like, we just wanted to share more about our life. And so in looking at these names that these people are coming up with when they're starting their podcast, I'm like, oh, that's unique. That's cute. That's cool. And I'm like, and then you have the Weird Dan and Sam podcast. No. Here's my like bouncing board for, is this a good idea? Or sound, is that what it is? Basically, I go, okay, what is the most successful podcast in the world called? You can't go off of the Joe Rogan experience. I'm like, okay, that doesn't say anything about what the podcast is about. Also, it's not one directional. Like, he has mushroom farmers and professional athletes and race car drivers and hunters and politicians and you name it, he has them on it, and he's the most successful. Nobody knows what they're getting into when they start a new episode of the podcast. It's just like, you have no idea, but it's extremely entertaining. And so that's where I go,
You just
you
want
don't have to have one thing. Like there's probably 1,000 entrepreneur podcasts. There's probably 1,000 social media podcasts. There's only one We Are Dan and Sam podcast.
That's true. And honestly, we like it to be We Are Dan and Sam because that's us everywhere. So you want to find, we're not on Twitter, sorry. If you want to find us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Pinterest, like We Are Dan and Sam.
Yep.
So
it's easy. It's uniform, but also for some reason all these crazy people listen to us and watch us, and they watch us not because they want a business lecture,
No,
so
that's true.
I think that
I guess we don't talk about one thing. We talk about everything: surrogacy, marriage, like social media, children.
But one thing that I think we should do, we went to a wedding this weekend.
Yeah.
And it was awesome. We met a bunch of people that you've been talking to on social.
Wedding.
Yeah, you've been talking to them on social media, and a lot of the other couples. But I was like, how fun would it be to start getting other couples on the podcast? Whether it's close friends of ours here, people we know from social media, maybe strangers from social media. Like we could start having guests, and so I think that might spice things up a little bit. Even like we haven't had a pause in conversation this whole time.
We do well talking together.
Yeah.
I'm thankful.
Until there's like an actual person behind a camera filming you.
Oh my gosh, I do awful. Have you seen
it? Is so, oh my gosh. Sam is like the most confident woman I've ever met.
Well, with scripted stuff, do not give me scripted stuff.
But she's so confident all the time, and it's just like, it doesn't matter if she's wrong. She is going to be the most confident. She's going to be so confident that you're going to believe that you're wrong. And she's that confident. And then all of a sudden the guy's behind the camera. He's like, all right, just keep talking. And she's like, well,
because he's like, okay, say that one more time with a little bit inflection. So then I say it. And he's like, okay, say it one more time with less inflection. And I say it. And he's like, say it one more time slowly. Say it one more time fast. And I'm like, like I just lose it. So I mean, there's a little bit about me.
You go from like good day Joe Biden to like bad day Joe Biden. When the lawnmower's parked next to the pool, then there's an airplane flying by the buzzer. Like it's just like everything goes.
I really needed you there. I should have phoned you out too with like to that commercial so that you could be in the background and be like,
no, because you would have been like,
stop. I would have been like,
can you go in the other room? You're distracting, kind of like you did when you were recording the other day.
Sometimes you distract me with content, but then sometimes he helps me.
She's like, can you put your headphones in? Because I know you're listening to me and I know you have something to say. And I'm like, sure. What you didn't know is that I had one headphone in and I could still hear it the whole time. And I'm like, get it this time, get it this time. Oh, dang it, she didn't get it. So, but yeah, it's been fun. And I think that the podcast should stay We Are Dan and Sam. Okay. And
I don't listen to your opinion very often, so I'm gonna
no, normally I have to call somebody else and be like, hey, can you tell your wife to tell her that this is a good idea? And then she's like, guess what this person just said? And I'm like, oh, the same thing that I've been saying for years. And now you're gonna listen. Awesome.
I love you.
I love you more.
Thank you. I love you most.
Kind of weird game is this?
But this was, I mean, we intended for this to be about content creation. We talked maybe 10% about that. I do want to go in depth more, and maybe I'll talk through that PDF that I created, because if people are curious from start to finish, and then maybe the next episode after that, we'll get someone on. I have someone in mind that I want to get on. But yeah, the other day, Dan thought about this new segment he wants to start at the end of each podcast or at the beginning.
Are we already at the end? I guess we got to go pick up the kids.
Yeah.
This is
about 30 minutes.
This is mildly entertaining. Or we lost a lot of followers and subscribers. All right, so you keep entertaining them.
Yeah, we were on TikTok Live the other night, which was so fun. We haven't gone live together in a while. It was so fun just chatting with. I want to try to go on each platform, go live, just so people can interact with us. Again, that real time where they can feel like they can know us more and we're not just this like untouchable couple.
Yeah.
And we were on TikTok Live and we got on the subject of dad jokes, and Dan has so many jokes. He's so witty in general, but he literally has a list on his phone of
There's
dad jokes.
Around 100 on here.
So let's do you have some that you didn't tell me the other day?
I do. I have a really good one.
Are you doing one each day or like several?
I think I should do several, and people can just watch on YouTube or listen to you laugh. And sometimes the laugh might be delayed by 10 seconds or more, but it's still pretty good. So here we go. I got one for you. What's the difference between a hippo and a zippo?
I know this one.
Dang it. I do tell this one a lot.
One is a lighter.
Whoa.
Oh.
One is really heavy and the other is a little lighter. But yes, that one's pretty good. The one that I told the other night on live is also one of my favorites. Why do scuba divers always fall backwards out of the boat?
That's a good one.
Because if they fell forward, they'd still be in the boat. Last night I actually had a dream about a muffler. I woke up exhausted.
No, I legit thought you were talking about a dream.
I know, that's why I always like whenever I tell you dad jokes, I start them out like that. And me and my buddy McFly from Colorado, we still like will randomly send each other a dad joke.
But you'll just text random jokes.
Yeah, he's like one day he's like, dude, oh my gosh, I was outside the Apple store in Denver and it got held up. Yeah, I was an eyewitness. I'm like, yeah, dude, that's pretty good, man. I like that one. There's some of these that are really, really lame. And some of them that are really funny. So I'm trying to find the ones that are actually pretty good. There's some that are like Laffy Taffy jokes.
And if it fell out of a tree, it would kill you.
A pool table.
That's my favorite one.
That is a pretty good one. Yeah, there's some of these that I wrote down. I'm like, I don't know what I was thinking when I wrote these down because they're just Laffy Taffy jokes. They're not really even bad jokes. What do you call a sheep with no legs? A cloud.
I was like a Sheba.
Did you hear about the guy who invented the knock knock joke?
No.
He won the Nobel Prize. There's the delay I've been waiting for.
Nobel. Get it.
Why do skeletons never go trick or treating?
I don't know.
They have nobody to go with.
That's so good.
Here's one. This one might take you a little while.
Me or them?
You. And maybe them, depending on who's listening.
Okay.
How do you get two whales in a car?
Two whales? Something about scuba diving.
You start in England and drive west.
England.
It's all about where I put the emphasis. So really the joke should go, Wales. How do you get to Wales in the car? Yeah, like how do you get there?
Okay.
Yeah, I don't even know if that's how the joke goes because I don't know the geography over there. If Wales is west of England or not, but
I get it.
There you go.
Wales, but Wales.
There's the joke. So yeah, we'll do a couple of those, and that's what I might do. I might just have like 3 or 4 picked out
throughout the episode,
and I'll just throw them into the episode and be like, oh my gosh, babe, did you hear about the corduroy pillows? They just came out with them. They're making headlines everywhere.
You never know what you're going to get on this podcast, and I think that's why I like
That's just what you don't like. I feel like I know exactly what I'm going to get with you. You probably, huh?
You do. I feel like I'm all over the place. And then when people tell me that online, I'm like, you ain't wrong. So
you ain't wrong. Nailed it.
Got it.
Well, that's it.
Yeah. Okay, so for sure, next time we'll dive deep into more so the content creation. I'm glad we were able to catch you up on our life a little bit and where we're at, what we're doing, how this all came full circle the past couple months because it was rough.
I feel like this is probably a pretty fun podcast to listen to.
I know. I mean, my cheeks hurt from laughing. So
yeah, we just goof off. We need our own TV show. If anybody's listening,
in the works, just kidding.
They can pull some strings. Let us know.
Seems really funny. But yeah, thanks for tuning in. We'll get all that content chat prepped and ready for next week. Be on standby for some guests in the future. Yep. If you actually, I had a few people reach out and want to be a guest, and so we'll start getting some topics. I don't know. Let's do some write-ins too. Oh yeah, if you guys have something, have write-ins, that's something that you want to start. If you just want to say something, if you're like, dude, what you said. Like, dude, Wales is not west of England. We will correct it on the next podcast. Us, please. Okay. So, yeah, if you have write-ins, maybe we'll do like the intro. Can be like, hey, here's a couple things from the followers. Yeah, I love it. Yeah. Okay, email me. wearedaneandsam@gmail.com with your name, what platform you are, and whatever write-in you have. Question, comment, advice. Share it all. And then you'll get an award that isn't actual physical
It's not a physical award.
A public verbal award.
But yeah, we'll just be like, hey, the write-in of the week is from
That's good.
Sarah. I don't know.
All right, Sarah, we're waiting for you.
Sarah, get that write-in of the week.
Thanks for hanging out with us, guys, and we'll see you next time.
See you.